Hi, everybody. So, I'm in the process of putting together my podcast, and I figure I will go live and get some opinions while I'm at it because opinions are fun, especially when you talk about grown up stuff. Hi, y'all. So, the first topic that we discussed on the podcast tonight is Chris Brown and his exciting new album. I'm being extremely sarcastic when I say that. And his choice of words. What's up, KJ? Mount Vernon in the house. Ow. Yes, welcome. So, one of the first topics that we talked about on the podcast tonight was Chris Brown's choice lyrics on this new song. And now, of course, I lost the quote, but basically, the line goes something like, I only want to fuck the bitches, the black bitches with the nice hair. So that's been a huge argument this week. Black Twitter basically tore him apart, and everyone has been arguing with each other about it. And, of course, it sucks to beat a dead horse, but since the podcast is only once a month, I am always on the tail end of the discussion. But I find it interesting to see how people choose what they want to defend. And if you think someone's trash overall, can you think they're trash in segments? Or is there like levels to how you decide when you want to throw the person away and when you decide that you want to keep them? Like, if this album's good, are we going to be okay with him calling us black bitches with nice hair? Or are we going to be offended because we feel like we're being marginalized or ostracized by the words? So, I mean, for me, I don't care what Chris Brown says because I am not a black bitch. Yeah, sure, I have nice hair, but that's nice hair by my standards, not by anybody else's. And whatever he is interested in, it has nothing to do with me because I'm not on his radar and he's not on mine. I don't date crackheads. I'm not interested in individuals who snort coke. So he would never be on my radar to begin with. So what he has to say doesn't offend me, but I definitely understand why it would and why it should, because it's rude. It's completely out of line. But at the same time, I mean, we were fine motherfuckers. We were bad bitches. We've been all kinds of things, and we've shaken our asses to so many different kinds of lyrics that it's really hard to say who's right and who's wrong. And I don't feel like anybody is anything. I feel like you do what you want. If you're not offended and you're cool with what he has to say, by all means, shake your ass to the song. I'm sure it's catchy. But if you feel some type of way about it and you feel like, he's trash for it, by all means, throw him away. Throw the whole man away. I really wish that he would get better people on his team to tell him when something probably won't fly well with his demographic so that he can stop saying bullshit, because we know he seldom dates black women. If they are black, they're usually mixed with something or diluted somehow, or they're not even black, they're just of a brownish skin tone. So we only want to fuck the black bitches with the nice hair. To me, it sounds like he only wants to fuck. So I'm already not interested. And on top of that, you know that you're kind of just a novelty item for this individual. So if you take lyrics to heart, by all means, throw it out. But if you don't, and you're really just there because it's catchy, then, I mean, keep it in your playlist. There's really nothing that I'm going to say that's going to change anybody's mind. But I've definitely seen people defending him like how they defend R. Kelly. I've definitely seen people, disregard him completely and, they want to trade him to the white delegation. I'm indifferent because what he says means absolutely shit to me. but at the same time, I'm not really into women beaters. So I don't have a real opinion on Chris Brown. He just doesn't matter to me. But yes, he's definitely followed by yes men. Everybody's hyping him up. Even that time when he got in trouble for throwing the chair out the window at NBC Studios, there were people trying to take the blame for it. We'll never really know what happened, but I'm pretty sure he did it. And there's somebody out there that's like, yo, Chris, I got you, fam. I ain't gonna let you go to jail, bro. I'll go to jail for you. Like, what is this? Like, when did being a yes man become the cool thing to do? Like, I thought everybody was a real nigga. So now all of a sudden we're bitch niggas. Like, I don't know. What, I'm not a man. I have no idea. I've never been a yes person. I get in trouble for my mouth all the time. So I don't really have a dog in that fight. But speaking of dogs in fights, I saw Michael Vick at the mall the other day. Super random, but yeah. Chris Brown, whatever. My main thing when it comes to that topic is just, I got little girls, like I got kids. So I'm not playing that, but to imagine that they're hearing those kind of things out there and that there are young boys who will follow these lyrics and eventually become men who feel the same way, like it's kind of scary because now I know I have to equip my children with the discernment to see trash ass dudes and throw them in the garbage beforehand, you know? So it's a long road for most of us parents, but even just as a regular old woman in listening to music, it's like it's very hard to pick and choose what to be offended by. So I personally choose not to necessarily be offended. I just don't entertain it at all because there's too much out there. And if Cash Money's taking over for the 99 and the 2000 and he tells me to back my ass up, I'm doing it because I don't care. Like that's a song that I enjoy. So there's plenty of songs that I probably shouldn't be listening to. I listen to Vybz Kartel. He's a damn murderer. Like nobody's perfect, but at the same time, for this particular instance, I'm going to opt to just let that one go because I don't want my girls hearing it. I don't want them asking me what nice hair is and wondering if they have it or if they don't have it. We're not even going to go through that today. At least let me get to the teenage years before I have to have those kind of conversations. But it's sad to see somebody that you used to enjoy spiral into trash, because I really did used to enjoy Chris Brown as an individual, but he really needs to get help. Like he needs intensive therapy. He's seen like way too many traumatic things in his life, and he needs some soul searching. You can still have similar content, but the content means something different when you're actually living what you're saying. Like he's on the level of Future as far as I'm concerned, like crack addled, addiction riddled, just complete garbage that could probably be turned into something or someone of quality, but their entourage and their people are so busy clout chasing, dick riding, whatever you want to call it, and of course taking money from them, to look at them and say, hey, like you need to tighten up and you need to do better. So I don't expect much from him. I just hope he doesn't die anytime soon. But by the looks of it, he might be on his way, because last time I saw him, he looked like a living corpse. And I saw that video of him snorting coke, and it's just, he's too young for that. Like crack and stuff ain't made the way it used to be made. Like we're really going to die off of these things. This ain't the crack from the Rick James era when they could sniff crack coke all day and like function. This is like, it's some hard stuff out here, and it's really breaking a lot of us down to the point where you're going to be a corpse before you even reach 40. That 27 club is gone now. Like people are dying way before that. So I hope he gets it together, but if he doesn't, I'm going to be okay. it's just unfortunate to watch a Black man deteriorate to that degree and to fill the airways with garbage. So good luck on that. But speaking of educating our girls, I was having a discussion with another set of women, and they were talking about puberty and teaching their daughters about sex. So it kind of segues because a lot of the songs do that for some girls. But my question was, should we bring back sex education for young children, for teenagers, tweens? At what point do we start having the discussions about these hard topics that are going to affect them in life? Are we talking about it when they're about to enter college? By then it's too late. So my thing is we got to start talking to them early, but a lot of the parents feel like we shouldn't be having conversations like that with them at all. They're not comfortable with those kind of talks. So who's going to teach the kids about puberty, about getting their periods, about personal hygiene, about sex? Who's going to teach them all of that stuff if it's not parents? Oh, hey, Jules, we were talking about Chris Brown and his black bitches with nice hair comment, and whether we or I am offended, which I'm not, because I'm not a black bitch and my hair is fine. So I really couldn't give a shit what Chris Brown has to say. He doesn't dictate anything for me, but he just seems very troubled and he needs a lot of help. So and I definitely agree with that, Cage. They are learning somehow. If you don't give them the information, they're going to find it somewhere. And if they're anything like me or anything like a lot of the girls that I grew up with, they're getting it from each other. And a lot of that information is inaccurate. A lot of that information is going to get them hurt. A lot of that information is going to get them infected with things. And that's not the way I would like to see our young people go. We're already combating AIDS, we're combating HIV, we're combating all these STDs, we're combating mental issues. There's so many things going on that at the very least they should have a basic understanding of how sex works, when you should have it, when you shouldn't have it, what happens if a condom breaks, what happens if you find out you're pregnant. Like, all of these things need to be discussed, even if they don't plan on having sex, because most of us didn't plan on having it. We just did. So to ignore it or to sweep it under the rug, to me, that's very archaic. A lot of our grandparents used to do that. Some of our parents used to do that. We are supposed to be the generation that changes the game, and we're supposed to change the conversation. Now's the time then, Right. Health is definitely necessary. I think it was called health for us too, because nobody wanted to say sex, which is fine. Call it what they want. They can put a pretty bow on it if they want, but at the end of the day, it should involve what happens with penises, what happens with vaginas, and what happens when they come together. At some point, we're going to have to talk about when penises and penises come together and vaginas come together. Like, all of those conversations need to be had. And my main question right now is when, because of course, as a sex educator, I would like to take that task on in the near future. And it's very interesting to see the opinions of people who already have children when it comes to sex education. A lot of these parents haven't even had the talk yet. I had to talk to my 5-year-old about sex because we saw 2 ducks having sex. And she was like, "Are they having sex?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she was like, "Oh, what's sex?" So obviously she knew something about it. I don't even know where she got that from, but the duck penis was out, and I didn't even know that that's how they had sex. So I learned something myself, and then I had to turn around and teach her also. So she's 5. She doesn't turn 6 until September. So the fact that we had to have that conversation means there's other kids out there who need that education also. So we're going to have to start doing it. Somebody's going to have to puff their chest out and tuck their tail in and take the kids and talk to the kids. And I think it's probably going to have to be me, which is fine. That's what I went to college for, and that's what I racked up tens of thousands of dollars worth of tuition for. So I think that's an initiative I'm going to have to start mapping out, because there's so many kids out here that are just walking blind, and it's really sad to see. Like, I didn't expect to be reminiscing about Brenda's Got a Baby in 2019. Like, that shouldn't still be a scenario that teenagers are going through, but they are. And then we have these stupid legislative people who are changing all the rules, and now you're going to find girls dead because they're having abortions. And yes, Jules, ducks have dicks. Little known fact, and it looks like a pink curly fry, and it's disgusting. So I have been traumatized. I implore you to Google it and see it for yourself so you can traumatize yourself too. But yes, ducks have dicks, and they have sex in a very violent way. Like, they fight first, like the man chases the woman around, and kind of like humans. And then when he catches her, he jumps on her back and he stands on her, and then he basically makes her give in, and then he somehow unravels his weird curly fried penis, and it makes its way into the female duck, and it looks like it lasts for about 3 minutes, kind of like humans. And then when he's done, it goes back up inside of him, and then she goes somewhere to shake up and inseminate her eggs, and that's where you get duck babies from. And it's quite disturbing. So that was fun. And then we ended up talking about different other species and how they procreate. And we talked about seahorses and how the male seahorse can make himself female so that he can impregnate himself. And that's what I said. I'm like, why is he raping that duck girl? But she seemed like she was cool with it. Like, she was just playing hard to get. But I didn't see any consent, so I was very disturbed. And Azalea looked intrigued, so I had to kind of walk her away from that. But luckily, she hasn't seen like dogs have sex yet, because Lord knows, like, that's another anatomy lesson that I'd have to do. But we definitely had the sex talk, and we had to go over like a basic overview of how that works, because she asked, and now she knows. So I know there'll be more questions about sex related things. She's already started pointing at things on her dad, so that's gotten weird. And yeah, so I know if I'm having these talks, there's got to be some other moms and dads out there having these talks, and we're gonna have to get in a room somewhere with these kids and actually give them real accurate information, because it's not fair to them to have them walking around unequipped. And then on top of that, imagine, they're young now, but they will become 30 somethings at some point, and they shouldn't just be learning how to do basic functions. If you want to know why some men and some women smell bad, it's because nobody taught them general, basic personal hygiene. Nobody's mom was like, wash your ass. Nobody's mom was like, go beard, you stink. So they are walking around nose blind and funky because nobody taught them personal hygiene. There's no health class. There's no parents, no grandparents saying this is what you need to do when you go outside. My grandmother always told me, if you drop down in the street and they have to cart you in an ambulance, you better have on clean underwear. She didn't say don't free ball it, but that's definitely a thing. But there were basic principles that I learned growing up. So I knew that when I became an adult, I couldn't just be walking around half stepping. And a lot of people need that, adults included. So maybe the parents bring the kids, but the parents also learn a lesson. And I think I'm writing that down. Yeah, I'm definitely writing that down, because I feel like that needs to be a thing. So yeah, right. That, and it's sad because you watch the dudes with their pants sagging, and I'm seeing guys with, like, back in the day it was like you sag, but you had on fresh undies, you had on Tommy Hilfiger or Polo or whatever was the brand at the time. So it was brand new underwear showing out of the back of your pants. But now these boys are out here with holes in their drawers. What part of the game is that? Like, why is nobody telling them that's not cool? Where are their dads? to be like, yo, my G, you need to go find some clean drawers. Go to the Arab store and buy some boxers. Like, why isn't this happening? No holy underwear, right? No dirty panty. That's a song. Like, why don't you know that? So I'm watching these things unfold throughout society, just on my personal journey. And I know that I have to do something, at least do my part to help correct that. And I think everybody should be able to have these conversations with each other and with their kids and with their adult friends. If you have a friend that smells bad, it's partially your fault because you don't tell them they stink. And I feel like we should be able to do that. I've been seeing some boys outside. They got on Louboutin sneakers and dingy drawers. That is wrong. That should be a man violation. That's a violation of the G code, all them codes. It's a violation. And there's nobody stopping them. Nobody telling them that that looks bad. And it makes them present themselves poorly. So you can have the cleanest, freshest outfit on, but you got on them ragged ass draws, and I know there's no crotch left. Throw them out. Okay. Woo. So, and their dads probably might be in jail. You're absolutely right. They might be deceased. They might have run away. They might have been pushed away. There's so many different scenarios that could be going on with these kids that it still would be wrong to just leave them out there like that. And I would think that schools would be the place where they would say, you know, we're supposed to be building these kids up to send them out into the world, but they really don't care anymore. Schools are basically just churning kids in and out to like get funding and get paychecks. There are like fringe teachers out there who actually give a shit, but for the most part, they don't really give a damn. They really don't. Ironically enough, when I was in high school, the alternative school where they'd send all the bad kids is where all the kids would learn shit and come out and be smart as fuck and be like business savvy and, you know, doing all kinds of stuff with themselves. Like all of that seems dead now. And somebody's going to have to fix it. So prepare yourselves. And if you see your friend